Admittedly, I was very hopeful that this game will succeed. The release was a big success, and many were hooked on the gorgeous graphics of the first Descendant. The first few weeks was massive, and player numbers on Steam alone reached a peak of 200K concurrent players. That's not even including the console players, by the way. As weeks gone by, the player count began to slowly decrease, and it's around 70,000 players on Steam in average. After a couple of months, the player base dwindled again, now only reaching 20,000 to 10,000 in average concurrent players on Steam. Now, many would say that this is nothing as it's expected in live service games. This is true, and this happens all the time to games like Destiny 2, Apex Legends, Path of Exile, and many other free-to-play games that peaks whenever there's new content or season releases. In the case of the first Descendant, however, it did not peak again to the first highest concurrent players, nor to the average, which was 70,000 players. So what happened after 2 seasons? Is the game dead? Well, obviously it's not dead, and people shouldn't consider a game dead with thousands of players currently enjoying the game. It's far from a dead game, but eventually the first Descendant lost a lot of its player base after the honeymoon period of the game ends. The first Descendant wasn't able to keep 50% of its average concurrent players, and this is because of so many avoidable reasons, starting with its Season 1 update. Supposedly, Season 1 update will bring back all those players, but the developer messed up big time on this. One of the main reasons why Season 1 was a big flop is because the developers decided that it would be a good idea to break down the Season 1 into 2 updates. Many expected that we will be getting all Ultimate Freyna, the new boss fights, and everything that were advertised during the Season 1 trailer. Eventually, they made changes, and most of the community were not happy that they'll have to wait for a couple of weeks just to get the other portion of the Season 1 update. Although Season 1 received its praises, as it highlighted one of the best skins, which is Ultimate Freyna. The reception was similar to Ultimate Bunny, and it was the talk of the internet for a couple of weeks, and many are saying that this is how character design should be created, and not something with weird faces. The gaming community was stunned by how gorgeous and appealing Ultimate Freyna is, that it did garner new resurgences, and there was a time that the game is peaking with 50,000 concurrent players on Steam. Ultimate Freyna made it more interesting because the Descendant did receive a rework prior to the release of the Ultimate version. The character became a competitor of Bunny when it comes to kill speed, and with the Invasion update, it just made the new Ultimate Descendant look and feel good to play with, as you can clear rooms easily in the new 400% infiltration dungeons. The character was amazing, and I think all of us can agree that Ultimate Freyna was the highlight of the Season 1 update. If Nexon did not cut the update into 2 parts and have included Ultimate Freyna and the other stuff included in Season 1 update, then I really think that it would garner more attention. The update finds success because of Ultimate Freyna's sex appeal, but it has looming problems that weren't addressed. The most common issue is drop rates, which is the bane for many players while playing the first Descendant. The new 400% dungeon did fix a portion of the drop rate issue, but it wasn't the main concern of the player base. The 400% infiltration dungeon gave us better rewards by giving a guaranteed way of dropping some of the amorphous materials that houses the Descendants and weapons that we want to play. But still, most of these amorphous materials required you to fight hard mode intercept boss battles. The boss battles were not a problem in my opinion, but the very low drop rate is still terrible, and this results to burnout trying to get one part for a Descendant or ultimate weapon. You don't just face bullet sponge bosses, but you also need to go against luck to somehow get the item that you want. Now, the same system is implemented in Warframe, and it's called the Relic system. You get Relic from missions, then you crack them open in Void Fissure missions. The only difference is the opportunity to get one part in just a couple of minutes is way better in Warframe compared to the first Descendant. Many players suggested that they should somehow replicate the same Relic system from Warframe, or even release a trading system already in the first Descendant, wherein players can trade using premium currency with other players to buy the items that they want. The trading system is a huge success in Warframe, and many thought that it would do the same to the first Descendant. But instead of player trading, the developers added a new vendor, just like the Void Trader in Warframe, or Sir from Destiny. Just like any trader, you will get a chance to buy a part for an ultimate Descendant or weapon every week if you have enough currency, which you can farm in the Invasion dungeons. Every week, there's a different selection of items, and it's a huge change since now you can easily get these ultimate weapons and upgrade them also to their full potential. But then again, there's another grind layer to that. Basically, the whole process is like this. You farm amorphous materials, then you crack them open and pray that you get the parts that you want. But before you can craft it, you must first have enough resources to build a Descendant or a weapon in this game. For a Descendant, you will need a stabilizer, an enhanced cell, a spiral catalyst, and its code, along with resources to fully craft one. After that, you will need to wait for days to play a Descendant once it's finished crafting in your foundry. If you don't like this kind of grind, then all you needed to do is pull out that credit card to directly buy the ultimate descendant that you want from the market. It's free to play, but it's hard to earn stuff. While this is not new, especially for players like me who mostly plays live service games, still, it's not a good experience for newer players. Most of them wants to play the character because of its cool design, but once they are in the game, they'll realize that it's easier to pay for convenience than enjoy farming one ultimate descendant. In Season 2, they did add another layer to lessen the grind, and the developers added the targeted reward system. It's like a pity system wherein if you don't get the rewards that you want from an amorphous material, then your chances of getting it in later attempts will get higher until you get the reward that you want from a specific amorphous material. Then there are other new content in the game, such as Ultimate Share and the new fellow companion, 2 new descendants, a whole lot of new modules to increase your power, a new boss variant of the boss intercept battles, and a whole lot more. This is a huge jump to the changes they have made in Season 1, and the developers are constantly working to improve how you earn stuff in the game. However, they aren't changing the whole loop of getting items in the game anytime soon. In my opinion, I think the target reward is the farthest it can go, as if they pushed it further without providing more content first, then the game will be super easy that people will not stay and play the first Descendant anymore. Game development is hard, and it takes time to truly add new content in the game, and I don't see the developers changing the loop of you acquire stuff because it will definitely make the game easier. The developers are trying to reward their player base for playing the game, and these rewards does help in progressing and getting the items you want, but I don't know if this is enough to keep the community satisfied. What's left now in the first Ascendant are those who truly enjoy the grind and don't have any complaints about how they acquire stuff in the game. Eventually, some of them like the gambling part wherein there are instances that you get what you want, and there are cases where you get super unlucky in your 100 tries. This type of gameplay is exhilarating for them, and I just hope that instead of being toxic and say that the game is dying, just let these guys enjoy their game. Honestly, I stopped playing the first Descendant for weeks now, as I got super hooked with the early access of Path of Exile 2. For me, it's like choosing to buy the ultimate skin for Sharon and play the Descendant on day 1, or playing a whole new game that I waited for so long. Path of Exile 2 is a no-brainer choice for me, and the Season 2 update of the first Descendant just came out at the wrong time. Not to mention that I also got pretty occupied with Warframe after that since the release of Warframe 1999 update. Like for weeks, I did not care about the first Descendant because I was jumping between Path of Exile 2 and Warframe 1999 content. While this is just my opinion, but I really think that the Season 2 update wasn't as strong as the Ultimate Fraynus X appeal. That thing blowed my mind, and I was really surprised on what the developers are willing to do in their game. However, I just hope that there is more to the first Descendant in the future than just pure sex appeal. The developers are learning from their mistakes, and we do have free skins right now in doing the Abyss Void Intercept boss battles. Also, they have been very dedicated with listening to player feedback, and I honestly think that the game will not be going away anytime soon. The only problem, though, is that the Season 1 update and the drop rates made a really huge impact to the game, leaving a bad taste for those players who just wanted to try out what's the hype about and ended up being disappointed on how grindy the game is. If you have hours of free time to play the game, then you can get the items in the first Descendant in no time. But for a guy that works an 8-hour job or more, then the only way to keep up and avoid fear of missing out is pulling out your wallet and spending real money for those in-game items. Now, let me know what you think about the first Descendant. Are the prices for skins reasonable? And what other things that they could add to make the game better in the future? Let us discuss in the comments section below. Thank you so much for watching, and we hope to see you again in our next video.